Welcome, Scorpio, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 1st of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. I'm going to share the big themes of the week ahead to begin with. On screen is your event chart on Monday. I'll unpack that for you. Always provides an important backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. At the end of the video, you have a clearer picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. On Monday, Mercury, the communicator, but also the planet of precision, moves into the most expansive part of your chart. If you have been thinking about getting away from it all, perhaps it is to do with going to a festival, maybe watching a band. It could be heading off on a vacation. It may be checking out a course, maybe a residential course over the months ahead, or maybe something for the longer term. You may also think about just going away somewhere more spontaneously. But the thing is, Scorpio, it's not just going to be this week. That all goes on for the next 10 weeks as Mercury makes its way through that sign. But it is going to be going through a retrograde as well. It's important to know that not all your plans will necessarily play out exactly as you expect. Also, as we come into this week, just to say, the energy of the full moon still very much to the fore, and that's balancing the second and the eighth houses. That can be where we feel quite compulsive. It can be where we have attachments. It can be about our financial ins and outs. So on the screen, your event chart, and there's Mercury at 29 degrees, pardon me, on the anaretic degree, preparing itself to move into the water sign of Cancer, which shares your water triplicity. But Cancer is ruled by the moon, so it's very much to do with intuition. Mercury thrives on logic. So that's something you need to find a balance around over those upcoming 10 weeks. Other things to share with you, your two rulers, of course, came into an absolute right angle on the 26th of May. And that may have coincided with some big tensions around a close relationship. And relationships could still be tested a bit as you come into this week because of Saturn in the practical sixth house in a square with Venus in the part of your scope to do with higher truths. And there may have been some exchanges last week, perhaps through that full moon, where there were some big discussions because the sign of Sagittarius, where the moon was, is very much about being frank and it can be about higher truths. But because Mars leaned into that lunation in a firm way, if you did have to put your boundary in about who contributes or spends what, the chances are that message has been heard. But if you're not enjoying any kind of relationship at all, Mercury moving into that ninth house, it could be seen as the sector of freedom. And because Venus and Jupiter are coming together so beautifully through week two, the desire to be drawn towards something that's much more uplifting can be strong if you haven't been enjoying something. But if you're working on more practical things, and maybe to do with business, the great link between the Sun and Saturn on Tuesday can really help you to get things just so, where you're thinking the Sun in Gemini, but also your actions, the Saturn in Aries, are very precise in a beneficial way. But by Thursday, Mercury moves forwards and does come into a square with Neptune. And as much as doing things differently, pursuing a freer part of life might appeal to you, it's possible that the demands you have in terms of obligations could be a bit draining if you're trying to sort of work both at the same time. More pleasingly, Mercury does forge a lovely link to the North Node. So if you are attuning to people or one particular person, we just do have that simpatico. You just don't have to talk about it. You just know you feel comfortable with them. That could show up later this week too. I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Scorpio. Just to say, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. Now, three for the price of one. Your free charts, your 12 months transit forecast, and your Draconic Soul Karmic analysis. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast, that's on the screen. Your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, please check out my testimonials below. If you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, fired to your device each morning, you can do that below too. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, because Saturn and Neptune maintain their role in your sixth house of physical well-being, important that you are being as virtuous as possible. But there's part of you that does want to be more outgoing, more playful, perhaps more daring, and it's a bit of a juggle because you can't do it all. As far as your work situation is concerned, I think the link between the Sun and Saturn on Tuesday is very good if you need to produce a report or you need to do a proposal that requires real precision but drive, and your natural ability to really get into the detail of things and get under the surface is going to be highlighted by that aspect in a positive way too. As far as relationships are concerned, Mars in that seventh house is intriguing because that can, right through to the 28th of June, bring some real surprises around relationships because of this collective in Cancer. So I would say the more you meet up with different types of people, socialize in different interests, if you're single, the more opportunities to meet people will show up. In terms of an ongoing relationship, that square between Venus and Saturn is a toughie. And maybe is if you have been having a heart to heart and it has been about who does or contributes what financially, or perhaps how you both feel about the intimate side of the relationship, the fact that Mars has helped you to find your voice, from your perspective at least, you've said how you feel, and that can be healthy. But whether it will resolve a fundamental difference between you and someone else is another matter. If, however, you're in essentially a very solid relationship, one of the best ways that you can really inject more hope and spontaneity into the situation is most certainly through planning to do some traveling over the month of June. And then, as far as finances are concerned, the Sun in the eighth house, along with Uranus can be very inventive. If you're looking at using your resources in a fresh way, perhaps even linked to property or insurance policies, that can be an imaginative way of increasing your net worth over time. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Scorpio. All the best and have a great week, and goodbye for now.